Let's get back to the meat and potatoes, which is the air traffic control center of Sports Talk Radio. Fresh off a stunning, mind-bending loss, straight up. You thought maybe they wouldn't cover the spread, but they'd win the game against the Broncos. No. The Jets are left to pick up the pieces as they take that transcontinental flight over to London. They have a play date with the Minnesota Vikings ahead this weekend. Early game on Sunday. We'll be sleeping through that. But much of the focus has been on interpersonal communication. If you have not heard here, perhaps not, Aaron Rodgers yet again attempted to clear the air during his paid appearance with YouTuber Pat McAfee. Rodgers gets paid a ton of money. $1 million a year to do that? My God. Rodgers, to go on there for like 10 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes, does $1 million. So Rodgers said that he and Robert Saleh have a great relationship. Just a great relationship. He said it. He then bragged about text message conversations on a number of different topics outside of football, and Rodgers making a declaration that we've got a good friendship, close quote. Okay, so let's parse the words. Let us discuss the question. Aaron Rodgers says he has a, quote, great relationship with Coach Robert Saleh. Thumbs up or thumbs down? Does this end the drama-o-rama on this story? So I've got reptilians, sushi, and delicatessen. And we will combine all of these things together. And the forecast calls for some dark days because it's the Jets and that's what they do. So first of all, we're going to go thumbs down. Right? We're going thumbs down here. Aaron Rodgers, the way I interpret this, and I heard the sound, but he did not address the Gila monster in the room. And since he chose not to address the Gila monster in the room, you have to listen between the words. You do. You got to listen between the words. So he talked in general terms, more on a friendship level. He talked about text messages and threads about who knows what. Knowing Aaron Rodgers is probably some Italian folk remedies or remote viewing, talking about reptilians with his head coach, alien abductions and all that. Going full coast to coast, right? Full coast to coast. And you have a good working relationship, right? Or do you? You didn't say you have a great working relationship. You said, well, we talk a lot. Okay. Well, I've worked with people that I'm friends with who are bad at their jobs, and I like them, but they don't know what they're doing, but I work with them. But that's the story within the story around the Jets. Right? Don't believe your lying eyes. These feel like empty words because in order to believe what Rodgers is saying, you have to forget the body language, which doesn't whisper. It just screams. It screams from the top of the mountain that Rodgers is old school Bobby Knight, the old Indiana coach back in the day. And he's like, I've forgotten more about this effing game than Robert Saleh is ever going to know. And they are not on the same page. And for example, the whole cadence thing, which came up, and Rodgers is like, well, we can hold people accountable or we can get rid of it, and disagreed with Robert Saleh. So stay tuned. As the plot thickens with each setback, and this is looking more and more like a tough game for the Jets this weekend in London against the Vikings. Now, secondly, we go to Miami, where the concussed Tua Tagovailoa, said to be symptom-free, and an optimistic report says he could, that's a weasel word, could start for the Dolphins in week number 8. Now, does that change things? So not really. Like, the Dolphins are still smelling like rotten sushi at this point. They're 1-3. The game they won, they had Tua. And the only reason they won it because they found a team more incompetent than them in Jacksonville. Now, today, or not today, but this weekend is really a point of demarcation for the Dolphins. You got the 1-3 Dolphins, the 1-3 Patriots, the Patsies in Foxborough. After that, you've got a bye, and then you play a road game with the Colts before week 8. If you can't beat the Patriots, who are regressing and becoming like a high school team, a bad high school team at this point, is there any hope for you to beat the Colts? Probably not. So best case scenario means that, Tua comes back in week 8. By then, you are 2-4 if you beat the Patriots. But there's also the world where you're 1-5 by that point. And so 2-4 is manageable. You'd agree, right? It's manageable. But pump the brakes in terms of the big picture, right? Because the big picture, there's still some dark clouds hanging over the Dolphins because you're still depending on the undependable. Am I wrong on that? I don't think I'm wrong on that, that you're depending on the undependable. It is a spaceship with a fatal flaw that you know is likely going to blow up at some point here. And for Tua Tagovailoa, it is not a matter of if. It is a matter of when that next concussion happens and the wheels come off, and it's a contact sport, and I don't care how much jiu-jitsu you do, eventually your number's going to come up and you're going to have a concussion. You're going to get groggy, and then the Dolphins will be back starting slop. They'll play the game of musical chairs at quarterback. All right, final thought. Von Miller. Miller time. He's going to miss not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 games. Did he get hurt again? No. Didn't get hurt. The Bills' defensive player out because of a violation of the personal code of conduct policy in the NFL. So how big a deal is the loss of Von Miller? So for the Bills, it's a trip to the Old Town Delicatessen. And they're ordering the number 10. Now, the number 10 is not a pastrami sandwich. The number 10 is a knuckle sandwich. And aside, they got a glass of ice-cold sucker punch. Now, Miller at this point is a situational pass rusher. He's a part-time player. He has made some impact plays. Now, some of those were in games that were lopsided. But overall, based on the limited time that he's played, he has had his presence felt while he's been there, at least on the stat sheet for the Buffalo defense, which was absolutely poleaxed by the Ravens. Now, on a personal level, Von Miller can say adieu, as they say in France, to endorsements, suspended for the scuffle with the pregnant girlfriend. That is a no-fly zone for Madison Avenue. And even though there were no criminal charges, and the NFL still ending the punishment with 4 games, so a lot of the advertisers are going to lose Von Miller's number and say, we'll call you, don't call us, and we'll talk to you later.